Well, dear learners, I welcome you all in this session on part 2 of depreciation. So, in part 1 of depreciation, we have discussed about the concept of depreciation, the characteristics of depreciation, objectives of providing depreciation, the factors influencing the amount of depreciation, and depreciation and other related aspects like depletion, amortization, obsolescence, and fluctuations. So, here in this session, we will study the methods of recording depreciation, how the amount of depreciation is recorded in the books of the accounts. So, here we have two methods of recording the amount of depreciation in the books of the accounts. The first one is when depreciation account is not maintained. So, under this method, at the end of every accounting period, the amount of depreciation charged is debited to the depreciation account and the amount of depreciation is credited to the asset account. So, we make the entry depreciation account debit to assets. So, accordingly, when we will post it into ledger, so in depreciation account, we will write it in the debit side of depreciation to asset, and when we will maintain the asset account, we will write in the credit side of asset account by depreciation. And the asset appears in the balance sheet at its depreciated value. Say for example, if we buy an asset of rupees 1 lakh and charge the depreciation of rupees 10,000 for the first year. So, at the end of the first year, when we will prepare the financial statements, we will charge rupees 10,000 as depreciation from profit and loss account, and as far as the balance sheet is concerned, we will show the asset against rupees 90,000, that is the original cost of the asset rupees 1 lakh minus depreciation rupees 10,000. So, the net balance is 90,000, which generally we call it the book value of the asset. Depreciation account debit to assets. So, friends, here when the depreciation account is not maintained, the journal entries which are recorded in the books of the accounts are as follow. First one is when we will charge the depreciation on asset, it is depreciation account debit to asset. So, this is the first journal entry for charging the amount of depreciation, and depreciation being the nominal account, so the balance of nominal account is generally transferred to the profit and loss account. So, here profit and loss account debit to depreciation, it means the amount of depreciation has been transferred to profit and loss account. Profit and loss account debit to depreciation. Then the third one is for sale of the asset. When the assets is sold in the market, the journal entry would be bank account debit to asset, because when we will make the sale of the asset, we will realize the amount, therefore the bank account will be debited. Since the asset is going out, therefore as per the rationale of the real account, the asset account will be credited, because the rationale of the real account is debit what comes in and credit what goes out. So here the asset was going out, therefore the account of asset will be credited. Then for profit on sale of the asset. So when the asset is sold, either it is sold on profit or it is sold against loss. So if we have earned any profit on account of sale of asset, so that profit will also be transferred to the profit and loss account. So the entry would be asset account debit to profit and loss if profit has been generated, and if on account of sale of the asset, if any loss has taken place, there will be a reverse entry, profit and loss account debit to asset. So this is how the journal entries are recorded in the books of the account. Second one is when depreciation account is maintained. So when depreciation account is not maintained as per the first method, in that case the asset is shown in the balance sheet against its depreciated value, against its book value. But as far as this method of recording depreciation in the books of account is concerned, or we can say that when the depreciation account is maintained, in such a situation the amount of depreciation keeps on transferring to the provision for depreciation account, and the balance sheet will always be shown in the asset side of the balance sheet against its original price. See, we will discuss the journal entries, and then with the help of the example we will see how the asset is shown in the balance sheet when the depreciation account is maintained and when depreciation account is not maintained. So here in this case the first entry for charging the depreciation is depreciation account debit to provision for depreciation. So here charging the amount of depreciation directly to the asset, what we do here is that we charge the amount of the depreciation to provision for depreciation. So here the amount of depreciation is not directly charged to the asset account. Then for transferring of profit and for transferring of depreciation to profit and loss account. So profit and loss account debit to depreciation. Then the sale of asset. So same journal entry, bank account debit to assets, because on account of sale of an asset, asset is going out and the cash or asset is going out or the cash or bank, that is check, is coming to us, therefore we will debit the bank account. So the journal entry would be bank account debit to asset. Then for transfer of provision for depreciation on asset sold. So very simple, provision for depreciation account debit to asset, because when the asset is sold out, so the amount which we were transferring to provision for depreciation, so that will be reversed. Now for profit on sale of asset, the entry will remain the same, asset account debit to profit and loss, and in case of loss the entry would be reversed and it would be profit and loss account debit to asset. Methods of providing depreciation. Well friends, there are many methods of providing the depreciation, like straight line method, diminishing balance method, sum of years method, and there are other methods also. But for BCom students, here we will discuss only two prominent methods of providing depreciation, that is straight line method and the second one is diminishing balance method. But before discussing this, let we go back by one slide. That method of recording depreciation, here we have discussed two methods of recording depreciation. First one is when depreciation account is not maintained, and second one is when depreciation account is maintained. So here we will see how the asset is shown in the balance sheet under these two methods. So here we will discuss this with the help of an example. See, if we have an asset of rupees 1 lakh and we are charging depreciation 10,000 rupees every year, it means we are charging the depreciation on the basis of straight line method. It means that the amount of depreciation will remain the same over its expected useful life of the asset. So here friends, when depreciation account is not maintained, so it is very simple that the cost of depreciation is always directly charged to the asset account. So here we have an asset of rupees 1 lakh, and for first year when we have charged depreciation rupees 10,000, so 10,000 rupees will be charged from the debit side of profit and loss account, and in the asset side of the balance sheet we will show the assets against rupees 90,000, that is rupees 1 lakh minus depreciation 10,000, so net value of the asset is rupees 90,000. Then next year again we will charge rupees 10,000 from profit and loss account, and in the balance sheet we will show the asset rupees 90,000 minus depreciation 10,000, so the book value of an asset is 80,000. So every year we will show the asset against its reduced price, against its reduced value, against its depreciated value. Then third year again we will charge rupees 10,000 from profit and loss account as depreciation, and in the balance sheet the assets will be shown against its depreciated value, that is 80,000 minus depreciation 10,000, so net amount is 70,000. So third year the asset will be shown against its depreciated value, that is 70,000, so on and so forth. So this way the depreciation is charged and the asset is shown in the balance sheet against its depreciated value. But as far as the second method of recording depreciation in the books of account is concerned, so according to this method the asset in the balance sheet will be shown against its original price. It means every year the asset will be recorded against rupees 1 lakh, that is its original price in the asset side of the balance sheet. But here in the liability side, first year the accumulated depreciation balance will be shown rupees 10,000. Then second year again we will charge the depreciation rupees 10,000 from profit and loss account. So instead of transferring this amount of depreciation to profit and loss, transferring this amount of depreciation to asset account, what we will do is that the amount of depreciation of rupees 10,000 every year need to be transferred to the provision for depreciation account, and accordingly the balance of the provision for depreciation account will be increased by rupees 10,000 every year. So at the end of the first year, the asset will be shown in the balance sheet against its original price, that is rupees 1 lakh, and in the liability side it will be shown as rupees 10,000, that is the accumulated balance of depreciation would be rupees 10,000. Then next year again the amount of depreciation, that is rupees 10,000, will be charged. So this amount of depreciation, instead of charging it directly from the cost of the asset, it will be transferred to the provision for depreciation account, and accordingly the balance of the provision for depreciation account will be increased by rupees 10,000. So accordingly the balance of provision for depreciation account will be 20,000, and asset will be shown in the asset side of the balance sheet against rupees 1 lakh, same original price. Then again third year the asset will be shown in the asset side against rupees 1 lakh, but in the liability side of the balance sheet the amount of provision for depreciation, so this balance will be again increased by rupees 10,000. Now the total balance of provision for depreciation account will be 30,000. So likewise the depreciation is charged and the asset is shown in the balance sheet when the depreciation is charged directly from the cost of the asset, and when the depreciation is not charged from the cost of the asset, that is when depreciation account is not maintained, and the second case is when the depreciation account is maintained. So straight line method. Well friends, under this method we have seen that the amount of depreciation remains the same over its expected useful life. So we can easily calculate the amount of depreciation. It is calculated by dividing the cost of an asset less its salvage value divided by the useful life of the expected useful life of the asset. This method is appropriate where economic benefits from an assets are expected to be realized evenly from an asset. Straight line method is also convenient to use where no reliable estimate can be made regarding the pattern of economic benefits expected to be derived over an asset's useful life. So these are the two important aspects which we need to kept into mind. That the first one is that this method is suitable where economic benefits from an asset are expected to be realized evenly over the expected useful life of the asset. And the second one is no reliable estimate can be made regarding the pattern of economic benefits expected to be derived over an asset's useful life. This method is also called fixed installment method or the fixed percentage on original cost method. Advantages of straight line method: simple and easy. So this method of charging depreciation is very simple, that the amount of depreciation can easily be calculated, and it can be calculated without any delay. That is, quickly we can calculate the amount of depreciation. Then uniformity. So the another important aspect with this method is that the amount of depreciation remains the same over the expected useful life of the assets. So when there is a uniformity in the amount of depreciation, the financial statements can easily be compared from one period to another. Then applicable. So straight line method of depreciation is applicable for all types of long-term assets. So for all types of long-term assets, this method is most suitable. Suitable for small business. This method of depreciation is very suitable for small and medium sized firms because it is simple and quick to compute. It does not need specific knowledge to practice straight line method. Even a person who has an average common sense can easily calculate the amount of depreciation. So for this, no technical expertise is required as far as the amount of depreciation is concerned. Then the next one is suitable for lesser value assets. So this method is most suitable especially for those assets which are of less value. So for less value assets, this method is most suitable. Written off completely. So when we charge the amount of depreciation evenly throughout the expected useful life of the asset, the book value of the assets becomes zero at the end of its expected useful life. It means the entire amount of the cost of the assets can be charged as depreciation. Then the next one is helps to compare profits. So straight line method charges equal amount of depreciation each year. So it helps to compare the profit of different accounting years. Limitations of straight line method. See, first one is faulty assumption. Straight line method charges fixed amount of depreciation in each year because it assumes the same utility of asset in every year, which is not true in practical life. It ignores the decreasing efficiency of the assets with the passage of the time, because in the initial years the efficiency of the asset is more. Therefore in the initial year, when the asset has its more efficiency, so therefore according to the efficiency the amount of depreciation varies, because in the initial year when the asset has more efficiency it will reduce less as far as the depreciation is concerned. But in the later year when the asset loses its efficiency, so in the later year the amount of depreciation is comparatively more. Loss of interest or revenue. So deducted amount of depreciation, it means the amount of depreciation that we charge from profit and loss account is not invested or utilized outside the company. It is kept inside. It is the internal source of financing. So it does not gain any interest or revenue for the business. Difficult to estimate life. Yes, it is very difficult to exactly estimate the accurate life of the assets. It is not logical to charge depreciation without knowing the functional life of the asset. So if we simply estimate the expected useful life of the assets just based on notion, probably this will not work, and this will not reflect the true and fair financial picture of the business enterprise. Then the next one is not suitable for the large firm. So this method is not suitable for large firms with different operations, complex equipment and machines, because for large size organization, sometimes because of heavy demands, the company need to fulfill the demands of the customers, and for that company needs to operate 24 hours in a day. So when the asset is put to use for 24 hours a day, it means the amount of depreciation will be charged more. Not justifiable. The efficiency of assets gradually decreases and repairing cost goes on increasing with the passage of the time. But in depreciation amount remains the same in each year in this method. So this method of depreciation is not justifiable. So the efficiency of asset gradually decreases and repairing cost goes increases. So in the initial year, the amount of depreciation is more and the amount of repairs will be less, but in the coming years the amount of depreciation will be more, but the amount of depreciation, the amount of repairs will be less. Diminishing balance method. So this method, the amount of depreciations keep on decreasing every year. So under this method, higher depreciation is charged in the early years. It takes into account that asset is more efficient in early years, and therefore it is more realistic way of depreciation, because in the earlier year when the asset becomes more efficient, so the amount of repairs becomes very less and amount of depreciation will be more. But in the later year the amount of depreciation will be less, but on the other side the amount of repairs will be more. So this way it gives a very true picture as far as the amount of depreciation is concerned. Merits of this written down value method: uniform effect on profit and loss account of different years. So the total charges, that is depreciation plus repairs, almost uniforms year after year, since in the earlier year the amount of depreciation is more but the amount of repairs is less, whereas in the later year the amount of depreciation is less but the amount of repairs is more. So this gives rather a better picture of profit and loss account for the different years. Second one is recognized by income tax authorities. So this method is recognized by the income tax and other related authorities. Logical method: yes, this is quite logical that the amount of depreciation which is calculated on the asset gets on decreasing every year. Obsolescence: so it recognizes the risk of obsolescence by charging major part of depreciation in the earlier years, because most of the depreciation is charged in the initial year, because in the initial years the amount of depreciation is comparatively more as compared to the later years. Better cash flow through tax deferral under this method, as the net income to be taxed is lower in the initial year. Yes, when the amount of depreciation in the initial years charged to the profit and loss account is more, then of course it will impact the revenue of that particular business enterprise more, and ultimately the amount of tax liability will be less. Demerits of written down value method. So the first one is, in subsequent years the original cost of the asset is completely lost sight of. Yes, so in the later years, in the subsequent years, the original cost of the asset is completely lost. The second one is, the asset can never be reduced to zero. So under this method the entire cost of the asset cannot be reduced to zero. Third one is, this method does not take into consideration the interest on capital invested in the asset. So again this method does not take into consideration the interest on capital invested. Fourth one is this method requires elaborate bookkeeping. The determination of correct rate of depreciation is a complex task. So for this, if we want to calculate the rate of depreciation, if we want to know the rate of depreciation on which the asset depreciation on asset is charged, so we need slightly tedious job. We need expertise in order to determine the rate of depreciation under the diminishing balance method. Suitability. So this method is most suitable to those assets that have more efficiency in the beginning and late on decreases year after year. Yes, of course, this method is most suitable particularly for those assets which are more efficient in the initial years and less efficient in the later years. This method is usually adopted for plant and machine, fixture and fittings, motor vehicle, etc. So this was all about the second part of depreciation. I am sure that the students might have been benefited a lot. So with this, I extend my sincere thanks to all the viewers and all my listeners and learners. Thank you very much.